Oh, welcome back to a great power-packed edition of First Things First. Let me get you caught up to speed. Last night, after a long day of gardening, an elite committee of analysts, Mission Impossible enthusiasts, and card sharks fought and toiled while covered in soil to deliver the best segment in all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege to present a Thursday edition of Nick's Tears.
Yeah, that gardening was a 2-day experience. In America, when folks tell you, man, I love what I do, I'd work if they didn't pay me. I've never believed that until I had 2 unexpected days off from work, and I found out what that turns into around my house, which is we live in the middle of Manhattan, and I'm gardening for 2 days straight. I'm not a man built on manual labor, I'll tell you that much right now. I'm glad to get back to the tears. Committee came in, let's get to it. Happy news, no new eliminations.
Oh, good.
For the second, we can show you the eliminated tiers. It's the same as before because the rules facing elimination last week for the second time this year, and they avoided it, the Carolina Panthers. Both times when facing elimination, they've won. There is one team, however, facing elimination this week. It's the Raiders.
Wow. What a fall.
Man.
Makes me sad, but they're
supposed to make the
they're
playoffs.
1-4. They still could. But if they lose to the Titans, they're eliminated. Wow. They're 1-4. They're facing elimination. Fair is fair. Can you imagine how embarrassed you'd be if your team this year had lost to the Raiders? Yikes. Sorry, KW. All right. Terrible, but not hopeless. The Ravens. They're terrible, but they're not hopeless because Lamar will come back and you got to think the defense will improve. Oddly, that might be better than the next tier, which is not terrible, but hopeless. Panthers, Browns, Giants, Bengals, Cardinals. They're not terrible. They can win a game, but they're hopeless.
Yep.
So it just is what it is. Again, I don't know what you'd rather be, terrible but not hopeless, or not terrible but hopeless, but it is where it is. Here for the quarterback, Texans, Falcons, Bears. And here, let me be clear on this. The Texans' defense has been great, and the Falcons have other really interesting players. And the Bears, I think, have a really solid overall roster. The reason they are called here for the quarterback is because what is intriguing about those teams is how good is that quarterback? How good will he be? For CJ, can he reclaim what he had? For Penix, his performances go from high to just awful seemingly week to week. And Caleb is one of the most fascinating figures in the league. And I think all 3 of those teams are about similar caliber. This is one of, Marshall, who names the tiers, he goes to this one quite a bit. Potentially frisky. I don't know what Marshall's into, but he sure likes the word frisky. Cowboys, Vikings, Steelers.
What are you implying?
I don't know. The Cowboys' offense is one that's scary. The Vikings, a weird 3-2. Like, are they going to get better at quarterback when J.J. McCarthy comes in? I don't know, honestly.
I don't know.
And the Steelers, to your point, Brew, they're 3-1. Rodgers has good numbers. I don't really fully believe in any of these teams, but as Marshall put it, they're potentially frisky. Flashes of brilliance. Broncos, Chargers, who are kind of fighting for the same real estate this year, actually. When Bo Nix is on, the Broncos look really, really good because that defense every week performs. And the Chargers, when Herbert has some protection and they're mixing in some runs, it's like, well, that's a good defense. That's a great coach. The Quentin Johnston's having a breakout year. But the problem is for both of these teams, the flashes of brilliance are intermixed with some really disappointing play. Whether it be overthrows by Bo Nix or sacks taken by Herbert, like you feel like you can bottle, if you could bottle their best, they would be some of the best teams in the league. Don't do it enough. Huge week 6s. Washington and Seattle, who I think are almost identical in quality this season. For Washington, it's 1 versus 2, Jaden versus Caleb. Last year, that was the Hail Mary game that kind of flipped the 2 seasons. For Seattle, got to go all the way across the country and a little south to Jacksonville for a really tough matchup of 2, I think it's fair to say, really solid football teams. The 4-1 Jags and the 3-2 Seahawks, but neither of which has, all three of those teams, 3 combined losses, they've been right there. Seattle in week 1 almost had it against San Francisco, obviously lost to Baker in the last second. The Jags one loss they should have won, in my opinion, against Cincinnati. So, huge week 6s. Are you for real? Patriots, Jags, Colts.
I'll take it.
And I think these teams are for real. I don't know it yet. For the Patriots, if we took a 5-minute clip of every team's worst 5 minutes of the year, the Patriots would be neck and neck with the Titans and the terrible, the eliminated teams. That's hard to divorce yourself from when thinking about them as a real playoff contender. But quarterback's playing really well. Vrabel's good. Their offseason defensive addition has been helpful. The Jags, maybe they can live on defensive scores and forcing turnovers all year long, and maybe Trevor will take the momentum from Monday night and play better in the second half of the year. And the Colts have just been really good all year long. I mean, it is what it is now. They have made their money by annihilating the worst teams in football. And then their 2 games against decent teams have come down to the wire. They won 1, they lost 1. So it's just a question, are you for real? Will come down to the wire. And that's when these 2 teams play each other, and that's for this division, the Rams and the Niners. All these games feel like they are nip and tuck, super close. And with respect to the Seahawks, I think this division is going to come down to week 18, and it's going to be these 2 teams. Can be great, haven't been yet. The Chiefs and the Packers. So neither of these teams' records deserve to be anywhere near the top of the tiers. The Chiefs, partially because of pedigree and partially because what we've seen from the offense post, obviously, tackle to turn the tide. And for the Packers, what we saw for them defensively the first 3 weeks of the year and what we've seen from J-Lo at various points, you feel like either of those teams can win the Super Bowl. Either of those teams can be great. Neither of those teams have been great teams yet. Excellent, weird teams. Eagles, Bills, Bucks. They're excellent teams. They're all weird for different reasons. The Eagles because they just can't play a normal football game. The Bills because they have one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks in the history of football, yet their best path to winning seems to be to ask him to do less, and when he does more, it doesn't work out. And the Bucks can only function down a score, late fourth quarter, let me turn it all on. And then atop the tiers for the first time this year, probably unbeatable, the Detroit Lions that had a 1-game hangover and then have been blasting everybody. And I got to tell you, I don't know who in the world is going to beat them next, but whoever it does, that must be a special, really, really good football team. And so they are at the top. They're probably unbeatable. I imagine they'll just go the rest of the way. Certainly wouldn't lose this week. Greg, go ahead.
I'm going to focus on the Chiefs, and I'm going to move them down. And yes, you talked about who they played this week, and this isn't because I know there's kind of like you and every other team that you talk about. When I talk about the Chiefs, everybody thinks that I hate the Chiefs. No. I don't hate the Chiefs. I speak honestly, and the honest truth right now, a lot of it is the poke at Nick. But the Chiefs right now, as we stand, don't deserve to be this high on the tiers. Now, I am not saying that they will not be, and they will not even end up being one of the better teams in the league come the end of the season. But right now, both teams on that list, I love the name, can be great, haven't been yet. They both are undeserving, but I'm focusing on the Chiefs. When you look at the game,
you're not going to their practice Saturday.
Exactly. They can't get the motivation to talk. When you look at the game that they played against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night, like, they did so many good things. They had so many good positive takeaways from that game, and yet things that we have not seen them do,
that's all true,
crept up to bite them. Yeah. We've not seen. I heard you on the What's Right podcast.
Wow.
I listened to you on Cowboys. Yeah. Like, everything that you said, we've not seen them lose in this fashion. When they get a lead, they don't relinquish it.
Yeah.
They don't give it away. And we've seen this team do some odd things this year, and I just don't think that they're deserving to be this high on the list. Again, we know who Patrick Mahomes is. We know who Andy Reid is. We know who Spags is in that defense. Even Chris Jones with the lack of effort and whatnot. I don't think that's who they'll be moving forward, but for right now, we got to knock this team down. And when you talk about that 49ers team and that Rams team and even some of those teams on that "Are you for real" bar, like, you got to knock them down.
So here's the thing. So what you're saying is you could see them being deserving of this at the end of the year, but not right now.
Correct.
And that's, by the way, to add to your point, maybe, that's kind of what Vegas is telling us. And not to just appeal to Vegas, but Vegas has the Chiefs with the 4th best odds to win the Super Bowl and the 2nd best odds to win the AFC, which is very funny because they have the 3rd best odds to win the AFC West, but the 2nd best odds to win the conference because the feeling is once the playoffs start, they'll be a different team. But the other thing Vegas thinks is that the Chiefs are that good right now, as evidenced by the other thing on your screen. How many teams in the league would be 2.5-point favorites over the Lions this week? Interesting. Honestly, I think only the Bills and the Eagles in their building. I think those are the only teams that right now this week would be favorites against the Lions.
Do you think that?
And I find that, in Vegas, it doesn't always give the Chiefs a ton of credit. They've been home dogs twice this year.
Yeah, that is telling.
That is, they think that this week, that the Chiefs did turn a corner despite losing the game.
Is there, not to get too much into the gambling thing, because a lot of times we look at the odds as gospel to a certain extent. Is there, because the Chiefs are so popular, and then is there more money coming in? Like, people just believe in Mahomes kind of blindly?
Well, I mean, are they a super public team is what you're asking?
Yeah.
For the futures bets, maybe, and that the Vegas, by the way, Vegas has been burned by the Chiefs a lot. You know what I mean? Because they keep making Super Bowls. On a week-to-week basis in the NFL, that doesn't really exist. There's not the Duke-style, old-school inflation of people are just going to blindly bet Duke, which is why the Chiefs, again, they've been home dogs twice this season.
That's true.
And so I find that line telling. Now, part of that might be the Lions' cornerback injuries, but probably not that much of that. So
I'm going to move the Broncos up.
Wow.
And I think the Broncos can easily go on that "Are you for real" line. No question about they can go in there. And I think they're certainly, we're wondering that about the Broncos. Are you for real? And they look like they're for real because of that defense. But you can say with a lot of teams, you can even point to the Chiefs game against Jacksonville, and if this had happened, they'd be 3-2 instead of 2. But with the Broncos, that loss to Indianapolis, which obviously is a good team, that really was if they don't have that penalty on a 60-yard field goal,
the game's literally
then
over.
They win that.
Yes.
They win that game. So they should at least be 4-1. The Chargers loss was still a very close game. And then, like I said, the defense, they're giving up 16 points a game. 2nd in the league. They lead the league in sacks. They're top 5 in total defense, top 5 against the run, top 10 against the pass. Their defense is legit. And Bo Nix, I know he's been at times doesn't look good, then times he looks great. But take away that first game where he had the 2 interceptions, and over his last 4 games, he got 8 touchdowns and 2 picks.
It's just a lot of where I'll give Sean Payton credit, guys are getting open. He is the play is being run the way he thought it would.
Bo hasn't seen it.
Bo, or when he sees him, he's overthrowing him.
Yep.
So there's that piece of it. I hear what you're saying. My only minor pushback would be, football gods kind of made it even on the Broncos in that, yes, a kind of a ticky-tack call cost them the Colts game, and then there was an egregious pass interference that wasn't called that maybe helped them win the Eagles game. And the Eagles would have had to then go execute. I understand, but I think 3-2, given how they've played, is probably their fair record. But and they have a soft part of the schedule coming up. They have Jets-Giants next 2 weeks. They should get to 5-2.
What do you think about this for a slogan? The tie that turned the tide.
It's not terrible.
It's not bad, right?
Yeah.
Cowboys, starting to believe in the Cowboys and Dak a little bit. Look at the Packers, like, you know what? We can go toe-to-toe with the Packers. Yeah, our defense isn't great, but we can put up 40. Packers can put up 40, and we'll be right there. I felt like while the tie was bad for the Packers, it was actually a little bit of a momentum builder for the Cowboys. Dak this season, 3rd in yards, and like Greg talked about, 10th in touchdowns, completion percentage is 6, playing great without CeeDee Lamb. And then, Brew, your guy, and you said this before the season started, it may have been during prediction week, most rushing yards, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. And
he looks really good.
Javonte,
who
you were always a fan of.
Always.
Privately. I'm just,
I loved him in
I'm trying to believe in the Cowboys a little bit more.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.